I welcome you all to for the today's class. As you all know that we have started with the module first of the storage systems. We have completed the chapter 1, completed the chapter 2, and now we are in the chapter 3, which is all about the RAID systems. Now, as a term, before discussing about what is RAID, uh, as computer systems evolved, there was a huge demand for the storage of the data. And as you know that the demand of the storage, when I've been talking about this one, it is in terms of the digital data where it was very expensive because the conversion of the raw data into the information was very much important. So this all data was stored in a single large expensive drive that is called as SE. It was called as SELED, right? It is here SELED. Now, what happened was, as we had only one large drive, the disk storage, the performance was a very limitation because each and everyone have to access only a single storage. And also what happened was the read and write operations was more. You have to read the data, you have to write the data to the disk, and it was very much important that read and write operations have to be done at a very faster rate. Now, when this was the condition to read and to fetch the data at a very faster rate and to write or the store the data at the faster rate, so the drives were finding it difficult. It was taking more of the time. So I can say that the performance was very less. Now, and at that same time, there was too much of load on one particular drive itself. Now, if in case the data was in a loss, then how we could recover that data? So there came a point called as a RAID, RAID rate. Please don't think that this is a Hindi movie of Ajay Degan called as RAID. Okay, that is not that one. So this RAID is nothing but it is the redundant arrays of inexpensive disk. The full form of the RAID is redundant array of inexpensive disk. So what does this RAID do? So this is a technology that is going to combine multiple disk drives into a logical unit, and it is going to provide the protection, the performance, and both, even the protection, the performance, and the storage, all this is being provided. Now, moving why this technology came into the existence, what is the need of this one? The first one is it is increasing the capacity. I can say that I can have the multiple drives, I can store the multiple data. And also there is a higher availability. Higher availability means the data it is being available for a user at any point of the time. It is been available at any time he is been requesting. It is not consuming much of the user time to fetch the data. And the third point one was the increased performance. The data was available, there was no loss of the data, and the read operations and the write operations were being on time. So this helped a lot of the people, especially in the storage and to get the data. Okay, now moving on, how this technology has been there. When I'm been saying technology, is there any related the hardware and the software? Okay, so we will see that one. Okay, when I've been talking about these RAID implementation, how do they implement? So they have the two implements. One is related to hardware and another one is related to the software. So first we'll discuss regarding the software RAIDs. So what is this a software RAID? So as I said, RAID is a technology. Now in terms of the software, what they are trying to do is they are trying to use along with the host. It is a host based software to provide the RAID functions. Now, as I have already said, you people, that RAID functions is to have a better performance, right? And also for the storage capacity. Now when I'm having this one, this is acting as a software. So if I have to say that in simple terms, I have a computer. Okay, let us assume this is a computer, which is not very good. Fine. In this one, I need to install this RAID software. As you install the various softwares, you need to install even this software also. Now when I'm installing this software, it is providing what is that, the all the RAID functions. Now when I'm using this one, he tells that it is not needed to have a dedicated hardware control. Okay, but what was the limitation for this software hardware is that it runs as a part of the operating system, the first one. The second one is performance is dependent on the CPU workload. What happened was that it was not giving the exact performance because it was affecting all the operations, and also it was not going hand in hand with the operating system. Because as everyone knows that when you have been saying operating system, every time the updates are very much important, right? The updates for each and every software has to be taken place. These updates were not available, or it was not going hand in hand with the host that is being there and the software that is being installed. So this was the another problem. And when I'm been saying software, it was said that it was not supporting all the RAID levels. As I say that there is each and every time whenever I'm been talking about the technology, there is an upgradation. For example, you have your Android operating system. In Android operating system, you are coming with every time the new versions. So the new version is been there, then automatically the update is there. When I say about this update, then please do remember for this concern, hardware also has to support this update. If the hardware is not supporting this one, then your system is not being upgraded. The same way, this software RAID what I'm been talking was having a problem related to the hardware, because every time the updates were being taken place, now the RAID levels have been up to 5 6 and all, it was not supporting. So what happened, this software RAID was not supported by the hardware. So that was the bigger failure for the software RAID. For this purpose, they came with the hardware RAID. So that we'll see in the next slide. My CPU is my PC is not supporting, so please bear the losses. Yeah, next one is the hardware RAID. Hardware RAID is being considered to be as I can say the controller, like you have the adapters and all. Here it is a specialized disk. I can say it is a controller. As you'll be having the adapters and all, in that way we have the RAID controllers. Now, where this RAID controller is available, as I'm saying hardware, then where it is being installed, the point comes there. Then it is installed along with the motherboard. I hope everyone knows the motherboard, which is the main circuit to run your systems. So along with that one, it is being integrated. Now what it is going to do is it is going to control all the drives that is being attached. Now how does this control, how are you been talking about this one? Now for example, if I say that I have this hard disk 1, I have the another hard disk 2, this is the third hard disk, then I have a fourth hard disk. So all this one, whenever I am processing, these all are to be connected and the data has to be transferred. So when I'm been transferring the data only from single system, okay, then how it is going to support there? So what is being done is in the system the RAID controller is being installed, that is a hardware. As I said, this is the RAID controller that is being installed, and the data will be transferred to all of this disk. It is going to manage. So the RAID controller is written, or it is programmed in such a way that these all the data is being fetched from all the drives. please remember, you can connect n number of the hard disk drives and you can transfer the data. Now if I say that one, in your laptop or in your PC you have only one hard disk. Like that, when you have been in the companies and all, there won't be only one hard disk, because lots of employees, there is a lot of data exchange taking place. So each and every time the data has to be stored in the disk drive. For that purpose they are using these RAID controllers. Okay, please do remember this one. Then moving on to the next one is the this is in the form of an array where it is continuously been storing, and it is used in administrative software. Now what is this RAID hardware? What are the functionality of these RAID hardware? The first one is it is managing and also controlling the disk aggregations, translation of IO request between the logical and the physical disk, and the third one is a data regeneration in the event of the disk failure. The first one, management and control of the disk aggregation, is as I already stated, we have numerous disks. So the disk will be distributed. How I need to manage that? When the read and write operations are going on, where which drive I have to provide the read, in which drive I need to take up the write operations, and all is being done by this hardware RAID. The second one is the translation of the input and output request between your logical and physical disk. So please remember, the logical disk, when I am been talking, there is a particular memory area. Yeah, when I'm been having these memory areas, from these drives the logical block has to be transfer of the data. That means there is a faster exchange of the data. So every time it has to be processed, particular address has to be fetched, then it has to be transferred. So these all blocks of the data have to be moved at a faster rate. So that is also being controlled by this hardware rate. And the data regeneration, so example is, whenever you format your systems or there is a corruption of your operating system, you try to re-get all your data that is being lost. So that is a recovery of the data whenever your disk fails. So that hardware RAID is helping you to recover all that data. So these are the operations that are being done by the hardware RAID. So please remember, the software RAID was not that much beneficial, but the hardware RAID was much more beneficial and had much more functionality than compared to your software RAID. Moving on to the next one is, now when I'm been talking about this RAID, so what are the components involved in this one? So now you can check here in this diagram, we are having a host, we are having here, this is a RAID array where you have been having all this uh, the storage disk. Here is a RAID controller, which is, remember when I say it as a controller, it is being programmed, it is involving the functions where the data has to be transferred from the particular host. You can see here, this is the hard disk, this is another hard disk, this is a third hard disk, then here we have another. So these particular set, wherever we are having the hard disk, this is acting as our RAID sets. That means it is a logical array where the data has to be transferred. Now you can see that we are having the two sets of the hard disk, and the data is being transferred to all these disks. So from one particular host like this, we can connect n number of the host. So I can have here, to this one particular RAID controller, I can connect n number of the host and I can transfer the data. So it will be stored and it will be made available for each and every host. So please remember, we are having the components. One is the host, we have a RAID controller, we have a RAID array, and the logical arrays and the hard disk. So when we have been having all these RAID components, we have seen that how it is been helping. Now, what are the techniques involved in this one? So how do we copy the data? So there are hardly three techniques. First one is a striping, the second one is mirroring, and the third one is parity. Right? What are these techniques involved? How does the data is being stored? The first one is a stripping. I think you might have heard the term called as a strip whenever you visit to the medical shops, right? A strip, a leaf of the tablets will be there. It is being provided. Now you can see in this particular diagram that we have a host, we have a RAID controller. The host is available, the RAID controller is there, and this is acting, one particular hard disk is acting as a strip, and these all together when they fall under one particular line, it is called as a stripe. So please remember, there is a difference between the strip and there is a difference between the stripe. So the strip is nothing but it is a disk of the blocks. In this one there will be a set of the blocks where the data will be stored, and here also this is the second disk, this is the third disk. When I say a stripe, please remember, it is the aligned strip that is going to span across all the disk within this RAID set. So if I have to explain you more in a diagrammatical manner, so you can see this figure over here which is going to talk about the strip and the stripe. Now you can see this one particular hard disk is there. This is called as a strip, one strip, and this is the second one, and this is the third one. These are all the hard disk, remember. When I segregate, when I open this one particular hard disk, right, you will be having these platters within this one. These are the platters. Now you can see in these platters you have the sectors and you have the tracks. This circular one is called as the track, and one particular what you have been seeing, the divided sections, is called as a sector. So the each of this stripe, so this is called as a stripe, this is the first stripe, you can check here. In the first one, this is the first hard disk, the second drive, and this is a third drive. So one, the first platter wherever it is there, it is called as a stripe, the first one. Then the second stripe, like this you will be having a lot of platters available. So please remember, there will be platters available, and along with this one you are going to store the data, right? Like this, what I am been talking about, these all the sectors, these are all the tracks, and here is the spindle which will be rotating, and here your read operation and write operations will be performing. Now, what is the use of this striping? He tells that you can process a data in a shorter time, thereby increasing the performance. I can say that simple way. If I am extremely sorry, yeah, in case I am doing a multiple operations, I have n number of the people, they are doing all these operations, then it can store the data in the multiple hard disk drives, and it is being provided to the users. So this is going to help in a faster accessibility to the users. The second one is the mirroring. So in this mirroring, what operation is being done? So very simple, as the term is a mirror, right? In this one what they are trying to do is, we have here a particular host, we have a RAID controller. Please remember, as your control unit is there, this is also a controller. And in this mirror operation, as the term says mirror, so whatever you see your face in the mirror, the same it is, the exact replica copy. Here also, when you have two drives, you can see a block 0, the first hard disk, the same will be replicated in this one also. I have the another hard disk. So please remember, here this is another hard disk. Then the same copy will be put over here also. Okay, like this you can have n number of the hard disk drive, the same way the data will be transferred to this one. So this is how they are maintaining the data. Now what is the benefit of this having the mirror, what is it, mirror technique? Now mirror technique, what it is going to do is, it is going to store the data from one drive to the another drive. तो आप उसमें कुछ भी चेंजेस कर दीजिए, वो सेम रेप्लिका हो जाएगा. Okay, so now there might be a question like, madam, if one disk fails, what about the another one? Yeah, the data can be recovered from the another one. So that is the functionality of the mirror. Now the point is that if one disk fails, the another disk is been there, so you have to make sure that there is another disk for that one, that is mirror disk, so that this data will be transferred to that one. The point is that we can get the data whatever we want at a very faster rate, because it is already replicating into the another disk. So now where is this functionality being used? Especially it is used in the mission critical applications. Please remember that one, wherever there is a risk, or I can say any loss of the data will be there, over there this mirroring of the rate technique is being used. But what is the drawback of this one is it is very much expensive, because unnecessarily what I'm doing, whatever I'm storing, but the data I can have only very minimal data, but the storage capacity what I need is more. For example, from this disk already I have a data in this disk, unnecessarily it has to be copied to the second disk, the same itself. So what happens? Same data but copied to the another one. That means what happened? Double storage mm, area is being required. Like this, we can have in the companies and all, there will be a lot of the data being stored. Everyday updated things have to be available for them. If in case their softwares get hacked, their database and data centers get hacked, how do they get this all data? Now when I'm been saying this one, please do remember, now think of the Facebook, right? It is also having a huge data centers. Now I'm been sharing all my data from the point I've been created the Facebook page until today, the members are the pages I like, what reaction I have been given, whom I have been searched, what is my activity log, what are the pictures I've been posted, what are my friends, when I have done, when I have sent a friend request, when I have accepted the friend request. This all data is being stored. Now suppose you think that your Facebook, you are trying to delete that one and you want to recover that data. Now where does this recovered data you do you get it? That is from these disk blocks itself. Now when I'm been having this particular disk block, I have deleted the data, but where is the copy being stored? It is being stored in the mirror. Please do remember. Now this is how whenever there is an attack on any of the data centers, they are applying these mirroring technique to restore all their data at a very faster rate. The recovery is done, and again they keep on what is that, storing the data. I can say this one is all in the census, and I can say in the cyber crimes. There are I can say this rate technologies, or the implementation is done in each and every field. Even you go to the government offices and all, the Twitter, whatever you post over the Twitter, that is being stored. Whenever you hack, again you get all your data, it is all being recovered. So what application they are using is the mirroring itself. Okay, so moving on to the next one is the parity. Now what does this parity means? I think as you all know that parity is some value that has been used to check whether the data is same or no. Now when I'm been saying this one, the same application is being applied even in the rates also. I have here different disk. You can check here. There is a row of the disk available, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 columns. In this one, it is 3 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. So this total goes to the sum 9. And here also it is 5. So this parity disk, what I'm been maintaining, is the value of the all these disks. Now if any change is being done, I can say that not a change, if any harm is done to any of one particular disk, then this value is being subtracted. Then automatically it is understood that yes, there is a loss of a data and it has to be recovered. So they are been performing this XOR operation, and then they are trying to get back the data whatever you have been lost. Okay, so these are the three techniques they are applying uh, in the raid operations to get back whatever the data you have been lost. Okay, so this is a very much important, I can say, the technique or the technology that has come, and because of which we are not able to lose a maximum data, so we are able to recover lot of the data.